Hello and welcome to another opportunity to sleep better tonight. And today I want to show you why it's impossible for you to fall asleep if something very specific happened in your bedroom. Or it doesn't even have to be in your bedroom, but if something happened in your apartment, or maybe even in a bigger picture, in the city that you live in. And this is something that most people who give advice on how to sleep better and how to cure insomnia don't talk about. In fact, just 2 days ago, I had a conversation with one of my clients who had booked an insomnia cure hypnosis session with me. I'm a certified hypnotist, and I also offer hypnosis sessions for you that can help you to overcome your insomnia and to finally sleep better or to sleep at all in case you were suffering from chronic insomnia. And without revealing any private details about this person, he allowed me, or let's say he encouraged me, to share one thing with you. And that's that he went from doctor to doctor to doctor. And he also told multiple doctors about his traumatizing past. And again, I don't want to share any private details. And none of the doctors ever thought about giving him the advice to not sleep at a place, or in the big picture, even in a city where he has been traumatized. This is something that most people don't even think of. And I called this episode "It's Impossible to Fall Asleep If This Happened in Your Bedroom," because I want you to be aware, or let's say I want you to get aware of what happened in your apartment, in the house you sleep in the bedroom you try to sleep in, and in the big picture, on the macro level, in the city that you try to sleep in. Because I can guarantee you, and I know that from my own experience, and I also know it from coaching clients in hypnosis sessions, and from talking with clients about their past, clients who were suffering from severe insomnia, chronic insomnia. A lot of them, not all, but a lot of them, had trouble falling asleep, or let's say had way more trouble falling asleep in one place than in the other place. So let's say, for example, you are in the following situation. You are living in an apartment where something traumatic has happened to you. Maybe it's been an incident of emotional abuse, maybe even physical abuse, and you try to sleep in the same apartment, or even worse, in the same bedroom where the trauma has happened. Then, of course, your brain is conditioned to believe that you, right now, while you're trying to fall asleep, are in a fight or flight situation. And then your cortisol level rises because this situation of being in this apartment, of being in this bedroom, triggers stress hormones, increases your cortisol levels, and then you can't fall asleep. And of course, in addition to that, it also lowers your serotonin levels, which then makes it impossible for your body to produce melatonin, which is the sleeping hormone that you need in order to fall asleep. And especially with this client, it was so interesting that the combination of the hypnosis session, we had 2 hypnosis sessions together, and him moving to a different apartment where there was no trauma bonding. I think you can also call it trauma bonding if it's to a certain place. I'm still German, English is my second language, so I'm doing my best here. I hope I explain this in a very good way. So he then moved to a different apartment, and then suddenly his sleep improved dramatically. He was able to fall asleep, he was able to stay asleep, even though in the apartment that he had lived in before, he had chronic insomnia and he couldn't sleep for days. And that's why right now I invite you to ask yourself where I try to sleep that might stop me from falling asleep and from staying asleep. Because if you are in an environment, and environment can be on a micro level, your bedroom, your apartment, but it can also, in the most extreme forms, be in the macro level, the city that you're in, for example, in case something bad happened in that city. In case you're always getting triggered when you walk down a certain street that might be close to your apartment. Maybe there you experience some form of physical abuse. No matter what it might be, ask yourself, what happened in the environment that I try to sleep in that might stop me from falling asleep and from staying asleep? Because like I just mentioned, if you are in the environment where trauma happened, where you have been traumatized, no matter if it's what people would call severe and big trauma, or if it's small traumatic events that can add up, then your body and your nervous system will always be in a state of fight or flight. Because whenever you are in this environment, your body remembers what happened there, your mind remembers what happened there, and on a spiritual level, your soul also remembers what happened there. And then, of course, it's impossible for you to fall asleep because, like I mentioned before, this situation triggers stress. This creates more cortisol in your body. The cortisol lowers your serotonin levels. And then when you have low serotonin levels, you can produce melatonin, which is the sleeping hormone that you need in order to fall asleep. Of course, you can still invest in the one sleep supplement that cured my insomnia that contains tryptophan and melatonin and a bunch of other natural ingredients that are perfect if you want to fall asleep faster and if you want to stay asleep. And the combination of tryptophan and melatonin, which you will find in the supplement that you can find out more about if you go to sleepbettertonightpodcast.com/asleep. This combination can then help you to increase your serotonin again, which is what the tryptophan does. And then with the increased serotonin levels, your body has enough serotonin to produce melatonin, and then you can fall asleep. Because without serotonin, or let's say without a high enough level of serotonin, your body will not be able to produce melatonin. That's why this is the sleep supplement that I recommend to you, the only one, and it's also the one that worked for me because all the other ones that just contain melatonin are completely useless if you don't have high enough serotonin levels. And if you're stressed, if you're anxious because you can't fall asleep, or like I mentioned in this episode, if you've been traumatized, then it's almost impossible that your serotonin levels are high enough for your body to produce enough melatonin for you to fall asleep. So yes, the supplement that you can find out more about if you click on the link in the description can help you as much as it helped me to cure your insomnia. However, at the same time, I still encourage you to ask yourself the following question right now. Does the environment that I'm in stop me from falling asleep because of past trauma that I still haven't healed? Because if you stay in this environment where the trauma happened, then I can guarantee you, or let's say almost guarantee you, of course there's never a 100% guarantee, but I can almost guarantee you, almost certainly you will not be able to fall asleep, because whenever you are in this environment, your body produces cortisol, there's a stress response, it's an emotional trigger, and then as a result, your body is trapped in a fight or flight response. And when we are ready to either fight or run away, when we are trapped in this emotional response, then of course our body doesn't say, hey, it's time to relax, it's time to calm down, you can relax now, you can fall asleep. Then you're awake, then you can't fall asleep. And then you might want to make the necessary changes in your life, just like my hypnosis client, who then decided to move to a different apartment where there was no trauma bonding, where there was no emotional trigger, where his cortisol levels went down again, his serotonin went up again, and his body was no longer trapped in a fight or flight response. And that's why it's so important to ask yourself this question, because otherwise curing your insomnia can be very, very hard.